Hey y'all, it's Kia and welcome back to my channel. Today starts our summer DIY series. This means that I'll be putting together some fun DIYs that you will enjoy for the summer. So if you are a teacher, if you are going to be on vacation and you want to have something to do and do something creative, I have a lot of great DIYs lined up for us. So this week we will be doing this nice rhinestone upcycled belt. I just love it. It's from a pair of old jeans. You don't need too much. Let's get into it. Everything you need will be listed in the description box, but we should start with some old jeans. Jeans, shorts, long jeans, whatever you have available. We're going to start with some jeans. The goal is to cut out the perimeter of the waist and then maybe some pockets. So I'm cutting around the back pockets. If you don't want the pockets exposed, you don't have to cut with the pockets. You can actually cut it off. And what you want to do is you're going to border around that layer, that hem right there. We're going to cut right across that, and we're going to keep cutting around the pockets. Now, again, if you don't want the pockets, you would just keep cutting around that hem and we'll continue. So I want the pockets because I like the look of the pockets being on the belt. So I am leaving no space around the perimeter of the pockets because we won't be stitching anything around that. But as I get around the pockets in the front, we're going to make sure we leave at least a 1/4 inch of perimeter or fabric around where we cut, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So instead of me cutting right on the hem, the thread is, I'm going to leave just a little bit of fabric so we can sew or stitch our rhinestones on that. So as I go around this pocket, I'm not going to go all the way to the edge of the pocket. I'm going to leave a little bit of fabric left, as you can see, just a little bit of denim left. And we're going to do this all around. So we're cutting around. I don't want to cut my pockets off. This is a creative choice. If you want to cut your pockets off, you can. I want to have pockets. I like the look of it. So what I like to do is I cut around the zipper as well. I keep the zipper. If you don't like the zipper and you don't want to keep the zipper, you know what to do. You can cut the zipper off. So I take my time when I'm doing this, and I'm just cutting around it, leaving a little bit of fabric. And we're going around the waist now. We're going around the buttons. This is super easy, y'all. So far we're almost done. We're cutting around. If you do plan on keeping your pockets, take your time around these pockets. I've made a mistake and snipped a little hole in my pocket because I was rushing, but there it is. This is how it looks when you keep the pockets in the zipper, and you can imagine how it would look without it. So this is the base of our project. I already started for our DIY on another belt, but I just wanted to show you guys how I cut the perimeter out. Now let's add rhinestones. You do not need a sewing machine for this. I repeat, you do not need a sewing machine. I get a little kit from Family Dollar, Dollar Tree. That's all you need. So these rhinestones come in a roll. Again, I've linked them in the description, and it'll show you the ones that I got. You're going to measure them across your belt so then you can stitch it on your belt. So what I like to do is I like to work in little rectangular sections. So from my button up into that first belt loop, I have this like little section of rhinestones. I cut the mesh so it can drop right to the end of the pockets on my belt, okay? So you can make it as short as long as you want. Now, here's the technique for sewing this. You just need to get a needle and a thread. And what you're going to do is you're going to push the needle in through the denim. This rhinestone is like a mesh and it has these little holes. So you can just push it through those little holes as you're stitching. And then you're going to push it back into the denim and pull it out. Then you're going to push it to the back of the denim again. And then you're going to pull it and push it back into the rhinestone mesh and push it through. So in and out, in and out. This is just a stitch. I end up doing, like, I forget the name of it, but a slip knot stitch where I create a little circle while I'm pulling the needle through, so it kind of creates like a little tight. So once you pull your needle through your denim coming outward, you just make like a little knot pretty much, and that keeps it more secure. So again, you're just going to, that little bit of fabric I told you to leave out, that's where you're going to stitch your rhinestone mesh to. And it just makes it easier instead of you having to go through such a thick piece of fabric. Again, now as I go through these little curves, like right here by the pocket, I just take my time. If you have some pins, you can pin it down. If you get that little kit, like I suggested from like the dollar store, it'll have a couple of pins. You could pin the mesh down to make this easier for you. But this is it, y'all. You just go through section by section and you're going to stitch it. Now, can you do this with glue? Yes, absolutely. But once you wash this bad boy, or if that glue is not as strong, it'll probably end up being a mess. So that's why take the time, do the stitch. It's not hard. This is not difficult. This doesn't take a long time. So yeah, you just keep stitching. I really like this project because like once you add mesh, you like, ooh, you can do like different colors. I chose like the silver with the black mesh because I think it's really cute. But imagine this with like some different denim fringe, or you can do this with like even some fabric. So yeah, if you're liking where this is going so far, please consider like, sharing, and subscribing to your girl, because this is what makes my channel grow and people know that I exist. Okay, so we got 2 sections done, and you're going to do the same thing to the other side of the front. And yeah, and you just tie knots. Now, when it's time to where you're running out of thread or you're done with a section, you're just going to tie a couple of knots and then snip that off with a little scissor. That's it. So y'all can see I cut a little bit of holes in my pockets. But again, I tell you, if you rush like I did, you're going to, end up making a mess sometimes. But that's okay, because it doesn't take away from the project. This is a perfect example of what I said about leaving some fabric out. You see where I didn't leave a lot of fabric out, so I had to really finagle and push through that thick piece of jeans, and it can hurt your fingers. So leave a little bit of perimeter of fabric so you can easily stitch this on. And just watch me do the rest here. So it is done. Now, all the hard work is done. All you need to do now is to cut our mesh. And as you can see, I pinned some of it on my pocket. I wasn't sure if I wanted to keep it or not, so I was deciding. This is what it looks like without cutting the mesh. Now, if you're into that style, you're done. I love it. Look how it blings, it shimmers. It's so pretty. But we need to cut this. So get a small pair of scissors. I tried with bigger scissors. That was a joke. I didn't last long. But then I eventually went to smaller scissors. And I find that cutting it with scissors, just take your time. You don't want to cut your rhinestone. Then you're going to look like Snaggletooth with half your rhinestone cut up. And you know how that's going to look, a hot mess. So what I suggest is get some small, easy to use scissors. And then you can just cut it. However, after doing this for a little bit, I realized, wait, I think I have like a razor, kind of like a razor blade. I have a craft razor right here. You could get this from Dollar Tree. You can just go through the mesh and slice it. Listen, this makes it so much easier. I just slid that bad boy all the way down and look, cut it real like butter. So if you have something like this, whether it's a razor blade, a craft knife, something like that, you can use to cut this mesh. And then that's it, y'all. Once we do this, we are done with this project, y'all. I promise you this belt will have you standing out in the crowd. It's perfect for like festival and concert season, and it's just a dope accessory. I love it, and I plan to make a whole bunch more. Tell me what y'all think.